This is Served with me, Andy Roddick. Please hit subscribe. We drop new episodes every week. This clip's brought to you by ServiceNow. AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built on. With the ServiceNow AI platform, your AI, data, and workflows all work together, connecting every corner of your business. To see how you can put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com/AI-agents. Ben Shelton wins Canada, second year in a row. One of the things I felt terribly about last year was him kind of building up this momentum, having a good Wimbledon, winning a Masters Series event, and then getting hurt at the US Open when it felt like New York was ready to just lose it. Gets through Canada, obviously, in the absence of Sinner and Alcaraz, does need to be mentioned, and then goes and loses to Faria, his first round at Cincinnati. Down a set, up 4-2, loses serve a bunch of times, and it's over in 12 minutes. So how do we value where Ben is at going into the U.S. Open? Where's Ben Shelton in the scheme of who can win the U.S. Open right now?
This was kind of a microcosm for his year, right? It was kind of his year writ. Does he have the ability to win a major? I think yes, especially with a depleted field. He's had a weird year. I was thinking, so he's won 4 titles, more than $3 million, 4 titles on various different surfaces. And yet he won 1 match at the Sunshine Double, 1 match at Roland Garros, no matches at Wimbledon, wins his second Masters 1000, backs up his title. We can talk about the regrettable fact it was on a Thursday night. And then loses, understandably tired, he's traveling, understandably perhaps loses. But so I don't know. It's such a strange year, and the delta on him has gotten, all of a sudden it's gotten very wide, where this guy, he's firmly in the top 10. Again, 4 titles on a season on a variety of surfaces. That's a great year. $3 million plus in prize money by mid-August. That's a great year. And yet there are these sort of mystifying defeats to players ranked way below him. Is he a U.S. Open contender? I would think so. Health conditions, but I think this is not the Cincinnati he necessarily wanted. Ben Shelton asked about peaking, and obviously, American player, big crowds, U.S. Open stands to reason. That's where he would want to play his best tennis. I don't know. And Andy, have at it. Is this something you thought about? Is it a good way to frame up a season? What are your thoughts on peaking?
I guess one, I get kind of endlessly annoyed when people ask questions about, or fans comment on, peaking or turning it on, or like it's a fucking light switch. Like, I understand, like, your body, okay, I need a week of rest before, so my body is ready and I'm not worn down physically or mentally. I get that. But the narrative around, oh, okay, I have 4 weeks coming in and I'm going to make a couple of decisions, and solely for I'm going to peak here. I don't know that it works. It didn't for me. Like, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm being overly simplistic. I want my body to be right. So if I need to take days here and there, maybe that, I don't know if that's considered like being ready to. I just simply tried to play as well as I could every day.
Yeah.
And weirdly, when you did that enough and you won enough, you would find yourself in a good situation because you were confident and match tough. This thing where you can, like, the thought where I have absolute control over when I play my best, and it's going to start on these 2 days. I get like, I go massive eye roll just because that's not exactly how it works.
I mean, he said this after winning, which was, on Thursday last week. For me to play the way that I played, to go through the draw without dropping a set, I think that speaks a lot to the work I've been putting in, but I also speaks to my mental toughness, my ability to focus on everything that was going on this week. And then 4 days later to come out and then lose in his first match in Cincinnati. You know what?
There's a couple things here. He's right. I mean, I just, all cards on the table. I really like Ben.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Brian Shelton. I have a lot of respect for the conversations, and I've had long conversations with him about tennis, about training, about all this stuff. They are nothing if not thoughtful about how they want to go about this process. I found myself like I had to kind of just be honest about the coverage at Wimbledon. And I was like, that was a terrible loss for Ben. It was a terrible loss. It was a bad loss strategically. It was a bad loss mentally. It was a tough loss physically from an execution standpoint. And you
they do a qualifier too. Let's specify.
Qualifier, 150.
This was round one.
Like,
round one to a qualifier.
Andy
was on the bottom half of the draw, which was, for all intents and purposes, digested as open, and rightfully so, because the top seed on the bottom half, he ended up getting there this year, but had never been past the fourth round of this tournament in Zverev. So opportunity knocking. That was a huge opportunity missed. I think if Ben goes out and struggles in the summer, I think it really turns into an issue. Credit to him for going out, resetting, winning a big tournament, kind of resetting the momentum set. I'm probably less concerned about the loss in Cincinnati on the heels of the win in Canada. I probably put more of a positive spin for that tournament than the loss in Cincy. And I keep hearing about these like quick turnarounds when we have 10 and 12 day tournaments, and I don't get it. And I hopefully if you listen to this show enough, you understand, like, I'm not the guy who likes to talk about when they walked uphill both ways to school back in the day, right? Like, I understand it's more physical, but like playing on a Thursday and then having to play on a Monday is very doable. You shouldn't be tapped out mentally if you've had off days on the way to a win in Canada. And so I don't think that was really it. But one thing to watch for is, like, he has to take care of his business in the first week in order to be a contender in the second week. And so far this year, that has been tough for Ben in majors. Full credit to his team for rebounding after what had to be an absolutely devastating room after that loss at Wimbledon. But it's like, we know what the upside is, but the downside has been there, to John's point. Like, the upside is 4 titles, 4 different services, and we get it rightfully so. We talk about and wonder, is this someone who can win this Grand Slam event? Yes, especially because we don't know what we're dealing with Carlos and Sinner right now. That's the caveat to the entire conversation. If Sinner's played a bunch of matches and, been running through people for 3 weeks going in, it's a much different conversation. But with question marks around those two, yes, Ben absolutely is a contender at the US Open, in my opinion.
Just 2 points real quick, and then we can move on. One, let's not let the other finalists go unremarked upon. Remember, we talk about these guys who, like, don't seem to be doing it, and then you look at the stat sheet, you're like, shit, they put up 27 points. Brandon Nakashima has turned into one of those guys, just turning into just this rock solid player. Is he a future major winner? I don't know, but this guy's really good. Watch for him at the US Open. He's who Ben beat in Canada. And I think you made a really interesting point about this business of peaking, just real quick to go back to it. One thing that all athletes, but tennis players in particular, do, they want to minimize pressure. There's enough inherent pressure in the job that they don't need any extraneous sources of pressure. So when you say physically, I want to peak, in a way, yeah, that makes sense. You want to go into the biggest events, giving yourself the best chance possible. In a sense, you're minimizing pressure when you are as healthy as you can be. When you are a player, and we can pick on Francis. I mean, there's some players who are very outspoken about how I try to peak for the majors, meaning I try to funnel my best effort. I prioritize them. I put the most pressure on myself. That sounds like a completely counter exercise. So both of them are sort of ways to peak, but it seems like one is in service of pressure and the other is sort of adding it to yourself. If you've circled 4 dates on the calendar and you go around saying these are the events where I expect the most of myself, I don't know if that's in service of your best performance. If you say, here are the 4 events and I want to be as maximally healthy as possible, that seems like a very wise thing to do. Anyway.
Do you know what makes running easier? Running.
More running.
Do you know what makes best effort easier? Best effort more often. right? It is a tool. It's a mindset. I don't know that it's something that you can just flip on and off with any sort of consistency. Maybe you can, and it works once or twice, but then you're going to lay an egg. Simply like your processes and where you show up. And I'll say this, and I'm not saying this is a rule. I'm saying this is a personal preference. If you would have said, okay, your knee has a touch of tendonitis, but it's because you've played so many matches and won so many matches going into a major, versus you have no issues with your body and you haven't won back-to-back matches in 2 months, I take the knee tendonitis. And I want the confidence. I want the knee tendonitis as a sidecar to my confidence motorcycle. That's what I want.